Let's roll. So I brought my computer out here today in hopes that the camera would be better. So let's see, huh? Wasn't this a deal? Check me out. Cool. I'm also on StreamYard, just in case anyone is possibly interested in joining me. But today, I've got some stuff I got to do. You notice my fancy hat. To put it plainly, I've had some black bugs. So I want to minimize that best as I can. All right. So, got some custom orders, got some custom stuff. It's going to be fun. I'm excited. Saturdays are usually my go-to days to get stuff done. My husband has the day off. He can watch the children while I can just go hard. So this is me. This is what I'm doing. And here we go. So first things first, I usually like to go through my plan of attack. I had something on my board that I was working on, and it's been some time since I've been out here, and I hate this. So I'm going to go through and rework it. This is also a custom item. So it's going to be a lot of back and forth work until I can actually sit down and get to my custom work. So bear with me. But I've got my protein shake. I've got my gallon of water and some leftover food remnants from my children. So, and I have my phone. So here we go. The first thing I'm going to do is remedy. And did you know that instead of buying the cut lube, you can actually use a candle wax to lube up your saw blade? Found that out today. So that's pretty cool. So I have this ring, right? This is a custom ring. And I hate it. I hate it. I don't like it. If I don't like it, chances are I'm not going to feel confident giving it to the person who I've made it for. So what I'm going to do is first off, before I start sawing my life away here, is I'm going to make sure that my saw blade is right on. And that's also where my quench bowl sits. So I'm going to make sure everything is on point for that. A lot of unnecessary materials here. So. And I brought my computer out here in hopes that that the sound would be better. For some reason, on my phone, the sound is just due, and I hate it. Also, I am on StreamYard, so if anyone's interested in hopping on with me, chatting with me, I'd love that. So as I said, I am just literally cutting through this ring band that I just don't like. And completely undid my bench block, which is fantastic. Hey, Sabrina. So, gonna tighten this guy back on. The weather sometimes. There we go. All right. So here it is. I have, and this was 10 gauge. I'm most definitely going to be able to repurpose the band for whatever application. And this will be really easy filed down. But I just could not. So here I am, Miss America. I'm at a point right now where the placement is exactly the way the customer wanted it to be, as far as the stones go. And she led like a lot of the creative decisions up to me, which is what it is. I just never want something that the person's not going to like and not going to wear. This is a fairly large piece. And this is the way she wanted it. So I'm going to work on filing the back here, smooth it out. And then I'm going to re-go over a band that I'm going to use. And I'm probably going to solder the band onto here and see how it goes. I went ahead and curved the plate a little bit, and I embellished it with peen marks, which go ahead and see if I can show you guys there. So I think when I patina this, the patina is going to go into the peen marks, and I think it's going to be really lovely. And we'll go from there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take first my emery board here. And this is at a pretty heavy grit. This is not really, but it's at 180 grit. I actually have a 400 grit sandpaper that I'll go ahead and work on it first. Yeah. So this is just some wet, dry sandpaper. I got a whole bunch of it from Amazon. Oh, thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Thank you, Retro Dottie. Really appreciate it. So here's the back. I went ahead and soldered on a maker's mark for myself. So I'm going to go ahead and sand that down. So it's going to be semi-flush. But I'm working on minimizing the, I want to say like grab that this has. Thank you, Bolo Buddies. Really appreciate it. So, of course, when you're wearing it, you don't want any kind of rub on your finger. You want it to be comfortable. You know, I think a goal of any jeweler is wanting to make sure that the piece you're going to spend your money on is something that's comfortable, something that you're going to want to wear from time to time. So, you know, full disclosure, this video will have some dentistry sounds to it because the file does sound like you're at the dentist. So if that bothers you, I may probably turn the sound off for some of my filing. But you know, just 100% full disclosure that that's the kind of sounds you'll hear when I'm out here. Other times it's just fire sounds. What are fire sounds, you asked? I don't know. Hi, New England pickers. Hello, hello. So I am going to take, and I oftentimes show, I get a lot of my inventory for silver, a lot of my items. I get it from Rio Grande, and that is what they look like right there. This is silicone filing discs. You have obviously the rough to the lightest. And what I mean by that is the most heavy grit to the least heavy grit. So coarse to extra fine, and come in all shapes, which is perfect. They have more of like a fine tooth, kind of looks like a UFO, up into the discs. So most definitely appreciate this because they start at the beautiful disc and then they end up like this. So love that. And then I just have a Dremel 3000 here with a collet on here to adapt to the mandrels. So again, I'm just going to be taking down this. So I give myself, I have watched Just Sandy. I have. She's been in the biz a lot longer than I have. Oftentimes I'll put her on in the background and watch her stuff. So she knows what she's doing. And I told myself that I would wear this when I'm filing so I don't get any bugs. That's pointless. All right. Okay, here we go. Am I even wearing it right? Nope, wearing it upside down. Oh man, it's a great day to be alive. And I've had my coffee this morning, so I literally have no excuse. But if you can't laugh at yourself, who can you laugh at? Hello, Miss Patty. And just like that, you can still see it. But if you look on the side here, basically that's what I'm looking for. I'm knocking it down because I'm wanting to make a new band. I did not like the old band that I had. So this is what I'm going to do. This was my original thought to the band. Because there's minimum embellishment to the top, I wanted a really beautiful embellishment on the ring. So I do have this patterned wire. Of course, this is sterling silver. And I'm about 3 for 3 on this for using it and just burning the crap out of it. So here's what it looks like. Absolutely gorgeous. Gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous. It's a half round, soft, really nice. And it gives that kind of additive that you see when you're looking at that ring, at least for yourself. So this is a big ring. So I wanted to give myself a double band. So she wanted this as a something. Let's go ahead and look here. I'm going to bring up her email so that I know exactly what she wanted, because she also wanted some stone holes. And this was another thing too. I need to go back in and check out the stone holes on that. So caps her ring, looking this up. She wants a little over an 8. So I'm going to write 825 on here so I don't forget. Now, with the ring being as small as it is, I'm going to go in with my Dremel tool here, and it is like a burr on top, or like a rounded, basically. And that one's a little bit big, so I am going to look and see if I have any smaller ones, you know, because you just don't want to drive it in there. Okay. Okay. So I do have, yes, indeed, got a bit of a smaller one. There she is. Okay. And I have a collet because these are actually diamond bits. And I originally started kind of working my way up to soldering. I did not have the funds to immediately start soldering. So I kind of tried to find my niche where I could until I had enough of the supplies to start soldering. So anyways, these are diamond bits, which is where my point is. And they are not made for Dremel, but with this collet that I have, I am able to put the bit on here. So just simply, I'm going to add stone holes. Okay. And basically what I'm going to do is drill into the centers of the stone. And so that's where I use my permanent marker so that no matter what kind of dust kick up I have a general idea of how big I want to go, especially with the different stone sizes. And so I'll hit it with this burr, work my way up gradually, because my bezel, my back bezel is 22 inches or 22 gauge, sorry, inches, 24 gauge. So it's not too thick, but I don't want to cut through it and completely damage all of my work. So start big, go high. Okay. Okay. So I am going to do it over here on my bench block or on my my doodly doo thingy doo. So here we go. I wonder if my Dremel will be able to reach that far. It's a great day to be alive. There we go. And lube it up. Okay. Have I ever told you guys that I'm an amateur? So that's me. All right, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my nail, basically strike through the minimal holes that I've made. My bench block, my vise. And so working on deepening those holes. I'd lie to you and tell you if I'm nervous about doing it. I've never done it in this sort of fashion, but it's happening. It's a slow process. Let's go nuts. Lube her up. Yes. Stone holes, everybody. Yeah, that's the way the cookie crumbles. So then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my saw blade and you know what? I'm going to take literally, got my files here and my rounded file, which is right here. Very similar to a bead reamer. And I'm going to work my way. Let's file that hole. And a lot of times, stone holes, the stones, I often said at one point, stone holes are used for the stones to breathe. And that could be the case in certain stones. A lot of the times, it can be used for the metaphysical properties as well. Really enjoying having that stone touch the back of your, will touch your skin. So I'm going to go ahead and this is trial and error, guys. I have never done this before. Just put it 100% plain to you. A lot of their requests that I'm doing, I've sold jewelry like this before, but I've never made jewelry like this before. So a lot of this is, like I said, trial and error. So I'm changing over to a bigger burr. It's a bigger hole. And so instead of me filing my life away with this little guy, I'm going to go ahead and make these holes just a smidge bit bigger, and then I'll go ahead and file it to my liking. So let's go nuts. And of course, move it up. All right, so here's them stone holes. Makes these a little bit bigger. Just going to clean off my glasses really quick because they got foggy. So again, taking my reamer here. That's better. Okay. Work on this one just a little bit more. Good morning, Cinnamon. Good morning. Yes, ma'am. Go ahead and put my lube away. I don't want to lose it. All right, so just going to knock down some of the excess that might have come off the back. Knock it down. Okay, and then I'm going to pickle it. Basically just clean it off. For myself here, give myself a clean slate to work with. And then I'm going to start measuring out the length that I need for the band. Okay, so for me, I have the internal circumference. This is what I look for. 8 1/4. I'm looking for 57.6 millimeters in length. Grabbing my caliper, which is important to have in this case, and go to town. Okay. I also have a pen to mark it. Thank you, Cinnamon. So again, 57.6. And I give myself a little extra room because I'm still new at this. Like I said, it is trial and error. And before I lose my attachments here, I'm going to take them out and I'm going to put them over here, wherever I put my marbles. Oh, Hardy hard. Okay. Here we go. I've got my space here. I'm going to take my silver and lay it out flat here, or at least semi, and go. So again, making it as flat as possible, measuring it out. It's times like these where I'm like, man, I could use a fifth hand. Okay, so there we go. Now, here's the thing, is I want a double band. Not per the client's request, but per my request. And the reason why is because I feel like it's going to balance it out because of how large the ring is. So I feel like that will make some good balance. Yeah. So for me to do that, I'm going to lay them as flat as possible here. And then I'm going to solder them together. Which brings me to my next point, is that this micro torch that I purchased from my local hardware store is fantastic for small pieces, but I needed the fire. So this is a new torch. The torches aren't meant to last forever. So tis my new one. And so I need to fill it with butane and then get accustomed to this. So again, this is my old one. It's my new one. It's just not holding the butane. I couldn't go more than just a couple of bits without running into a problem where I couldn't go on because I had to constantly fill up my butane. So I have some leftover 5 times refined, and the more refined you have on your butane, the better. They recommend a minimum of 3. So there's that for you. And then I'm just going to fill it up. Basically, you just fill it up. But this one has very little in it, to be honest. Yeah, that's pretty much done. So then I have this one, just butane, mag torch butane. Hot crap. And I did put a little plug on it. Helps sometimes to add the butane. But in this particular circumstance, I don't need to do that. I just need to fill it up. And this is a torch that I've never used before. It's empty. So I want to fill it, but I don't want to overfill it. Okay, so I'm going to give it a second. And they recommend that after you fill up your torch to wait a minimum of 3 minutes before turning it on, because butane's a gas. And leftover gas residual, it's just not a good idea. Play smart, everybody. Like, I just needed to say that. I'm pretty certain that is filled up. You can almost feel the weight in it as well. Like I said, I don't want to overfill this, but at the same time, I'm just a smidge bit cautious when it comes to filling up my torch. That's just the scaredy cat game I play. Putting this back. Safety first. And going from there. So again, for certain circumstances, such as what I'm about to do, which is putting 2 bands together, the micro torch would be fantastic. However, I need a little bit more heat to like adhere a bezel, like adhere this ring band basically to the back of the base plate. So anyways, here we go. So in soldering, you want to make sure your joints are flush and clean. Solder does not fill a gap. So you want to make sure you have minimum light in between the 2 spaces. Okay. So this should be fairly simple. She said 100 times. But we're just putting them together, y'all. Putting them together. I'm going to put about 3 pieces of very small bits of solder on here. And that should hopefully give it enough oomph to stay together. So I am going to use medium solder on this because I'm going to use easy solder on to adhere the ring band to the base plate. And so when you're working with solder, you want to work hard on like your bezel, actually bezels, like these little guys, bezels, to the base plate. And then you want to work medium. And that's your next step, all the way down to easy, so that it can assure like the hard, basically when you have a hard solder, it takes the most heat to heat it up and melt it. Medium heat. Easy, doesn't take a lot of fire to melt that solder. So bear that in mind. I was like, man, how do I know the difference? How can someone enlighten me? And it was just very easy when that light just clicked on for me, how I was able just to figure it out. So I work primarily with sheet solder. It's what I've started working with, so that's what I've continued. Eventually, working with wire solder would be really cool. But, you know, this is what I have, and this is what I'm working with. So there's my medium, and my pieces are ginormous. So I'm going to literally use my flush cutter, not to say flush cutter, and I'm going to nip them in half. Okay. And then on my bench block, I'm going to put an M right here for me. I'm going to take all of my flammables and move them away from my area that I will be flaming up. Okay, just safe. Be safe. Safety first. Okay, this is my heat area. This is where the activity is going to happen. Okay. So I have a couple of different fluxes that I use, and I'm just going to use Cuprinil on this one. And flux basically helps prevent fire scale, which is all around an awesome thing, and it helps the solder tell it where to flow, basically. I'm going to take my tweezers here and grab my micro torch before I go. I like to crystallize my flux before putting the solder on. That way my solder doesn't pop like popcorn off of it. And so there's my fire. And it's at full heat right now, which is just absolutely unreal. May have to fill that guy up too. So then I'm going to take my 3 pieces like I previously stated here, and I'm going to be putting them in like quarter increments on here. A quarter in, halfway in, and a quarter out the side. That way I know I have maximum flowage, which is the technical term. Okay. So again, I'm going to take the time that that I would use getting this adjusted. I'm going to fill up my other micro torch here. And that's one thing I need to get into the habit of, and you'll have your own little way that you do things. But have a routine set for yourself. That is, if you get done in your studio, instead of just literally walking away, perhaps fill up your torch as the last thing that you do. That way you're ready to go. It's just you're helping yourself in this particular instance. Do as I say, not as I do. Am I right? All right. So let's try out my new torch. I always like to come over here when I'm doing that. Hold the pin. Wow. What's going on? I have my solder pick around here. Just gonna easy does it, slow and steady. The hottest part of the torch being the blue here. And I'm just going to go back and forth. You want a constant, even heat, so you have some nice distribution, so your solder will flow evenly. Also paying mind that because this band has already been textured, you have to be careful not to burn it, because it can burn easy. And I'm just taking my solder pick here, and I am just running the line of the seam to make sure that everything, all the solder has filled the holes. Really not wanting there to be any space in the band, particularly on the outsides here. And so there we go. Let it sit for a second because it is hot. I just lit it on fire. And yeah, and then we'll put it in the quench. So here it is. Put it right into the pickle. Only copper tongs in the pickle. Anything else will mess with the pickle, since it is an acid. So my piece is now nice and cleaned up. I'm just going to take a paper towel here, and I'm just going in and around the areas in which I have drilled. Now, the only thing I can say is touch your item, man. Like, touch it, feel it. Don't be afraid of it. If you can find a way to break it, don't sell it. Start over or fix it. Put it against your hand, rub it against your hand. You're going to be doing a lot more filing in this sense, but just make it comfortable. Make it so that the person's going to want to wear it. That's all I got to say about that. And before I adhere the band to the ring, I am just going to take my extra course, and I guess I should have put my bib on. Completely forgot about that, but hey, do as I say, not as I do. Am I right? My mom always said, if you can't be a good example, be a horrible warning. Words to live by. Oh, there we go. So, taking my little silicone mandrel here, putting it on the course. And doing things in a repetition, anyways, takes a little second to get used to. So there we go. So there's the back. Now, the more course I take this and the more I go over it, a lot of these fine lines and marks are going to go away. So when I work up the scale of filing, we'll come to a really beautiful mirrored finish on the back here. So I have things how I want them. I also want to pay attention to the inside of the wells as well, and the bezels, because these are where the stones are going to sit. And you have to also pay mind to the fact that some stones, being translucent, will often show your bezel underneath. So make sure you file them. And if, like, for example, I saw and I follow a lot of people on Instagram who show the IGTV, and one person in particular, an item really stuck out to me because they had a customer say that the underside of their moonstone was starting to yellow. And they're like, can anyone explain to me what this is? And for metals, sometimes, depending on, if it's a 925, they use other alloys. 925 parts are sterling. The other 75 parts are other metals. So some of those metals sometimes will turn yellow before maybe they'll patina into a nice black. So I saw that and I'm like, you know what? I really need to pay attention to the inside of my bezels, especially for this particular ring, because I am using a lot of feldspar or like chatoyant stones, basically, that are more translucent than if I were to use like a jasper or something. So word to the wise. All right, so as you can see the steam here, that's my pickle pot, and it's just in a teeny tiny little crock pot. And I'm going to take my copper tongs, and I do need to update my pickle or add some more water to my pickle, because it has been some time. So here is my band, nice and silver. It comes out of the pickle white, not polished in the slightest. And the more work you do to it, the more it will polish up. There's some scientific reason behind it, but if you asked me, I'd be lying to you. because I don't know. So I'm going to take it. Basically, I'm going to create the ring band. I'm going to be putting my flat sandpaper away here, and I'm going to be taking my flat. Hey, Tiffany, my flat. This is a file, my flat file, and when I snip and use my flush cutters, it almost creates like a mountain because you're snipping. As much as it is a flush cut, there's still some crimping action that happens. And excuse me, as I mentioned before, solder sticks and the seam holds better when the joints are clean. So a lot of the times I just kind of eyeball this. You can take your jeweler's saw, you can manipulate it, bend the band together, and saw it so that you know that both sides are even. But like I said, most of the time I do eyeball it. What I am going to do is I'm going to set the seam underneath here. That way I know the seam to seam. Oh, man. I don't know what it is lately, but, you know, I've been dealing with the same internet issues. So there's that. So I'm going to take my mandrel. I know I brought it out here, but as far as where I put it, I don't know. Somewhere. It's probably literally right in front of my face. There it is. Like I said, take my mandrel and bend it to shape here. And because I have lit this on fire, basically the technique is called annealing. When you heat up your metal, it softens it. So another thing about this bench that I have is that it's not a jeweler's bench. So I have to find ways to hold my mandrel. I find little screw holes that are in here, and I stick my mandrel up against my gut. Go from there. So basically I'm whacking this, getting the shape, and I'm just using like the rubber mallet. I don't know the technical term, but the rubber mallet, the black side. This one's a little bit not so much. This is a 12-ounce drop forged hammer. If that means anything to you, now you know. But I needed a rubber mallet to do such a thing, and I got this at my I got it at my local hardware store. So there's that. So I'm working on basically making sure that I have this correctly set. And another thing too to consider is, since it is graduated, make sure you flip it over. Oh, thank you so much. Peace out. You too. So make sure you flip over your metal. Again, bring it back up to that spot in which you want to. Okay. I need to loop these up. I told myself to do it last time, but I never did. Get them WD-40. I'm not going to do that right now. Okay, so again, going to turn this in a little bit, So the same principle goes. You want surface to surface, you want clean surfaces here, because what I'm going to end up doing now is looking over my piece, because I'm going to attempt to solder the ring band to the back of it. And I think like any pieces, as you're a new silversmith, almost like it's nerve-wracking, basically what it is. So I want to make sure that how I set the ring is how I like it. And so this kind of part, I tend to get a little bit more quiet. Yeah, a little bit, huh? I'm really enjoying it. Never thought I would. I'm not a jewelry person, which is funny enough, ironically, because that's what I sell. But I really, really, really enjoy doing this. It's the fire. All right. So this is the part where it gets a little tedious. You want to make sure it's straight. You want to make sure the piece is not just flat. This piece is 360. You're going to have this thing on your hand. So make sure you have all the aspects that you need in this particular area. It's important to take the easy solder at this point. Get my flush cutters out. Okay. So I'm going to take some of my solder and I'm going to bring it on my board, my kiln brick rather. That's what I use to solder on. And I really don't need that much to get this going. So again, I'm going to use the Cuprinil. I'm running out, and I'm going to go ahead and spray my solder and see what I did there. Just knocked over my ring band. How exciting. It's not like I had been working on getting that adjusted. Fine. Just put it back. Okay, here we go. So get in there. Look at it. Is it even? Is it straight? Look. Okay. So now, basically what I'm doing is just crystallizing the flux. I have no solder on here at all. I'm just crystallizing at this point because I'm going to want to place my solder in a spot where I don't want it to jump. I don't want it to move. Hit that right there. Now I'm going to place my solder. So what is Devin creating? I am making a custom ring. It's like a mother's ring. This was in the line of one of the first items I was asked to create. So working on this, and then I actually have a whole set of things that I have to work on. So I'm going to take this piece of easy solder, Cut it again because it is far too big. And dropped it. Fantastic. I do have a piece here. I'm going to stick it in the back. And then I have a piece on my board here that I cut. And I'm going to stick that in the back of it. Up underneath. So I have my assurance that we will have some flowage. Okay. Okay. Okay, now pay mind to your lineup, straighten things out if you need to. Really? Here we go. And just like downtown, as my grandfather used to say, here it is, just like downtown. Well, it's hot. Be mindful when you're sticking your face close to it. But it seems that it's on there. And there we go. Okay, now I'm going to pickle it. While it's in the pickle, have some protein. So, while that's doing that, I have quite a few rings that I'm going to be working on. Some which include a very fun challenge of making a prong set ring. Nervous about that. I've never done that, so of course I'm going to be nervous. Anyways. But I brought this necklace out here, which is a costume piece. But I brought it out to kind of give a general idea of a how-to for me. I also have another piece out here too that I keep for reference. Some pieces I just keep out here for reference pieces. I just want to see the mechanics of it, I guess. But after I get done with that in the pickle, obviously I want to clean and file it to a certain extent. And then I'm going to patina it with liver of sulfur. I'm going to patina it basically with liver of sulfur with a paintbrush. I'm going to be doing this because I want to make sure that I don't put any of the intentional patina inside the bezels. I want to be basically very mindful of where I put it. So that's why I'm going to paint it with a paintbrush. And then I'm just going to file it and then set the stones, and it should be done. So we'll see how it goes. Just a little bit more time in there. I also have this ring out here, which I've had it out here for the longest time because someone wants this ring but needs it sized. And I have been trying to conquer my fear of heating up a stone or heating up a ring with a stone in it. I've looked up several different methods in which you can do this. So I'm going to attempt it. Not today, obviously, but I'm just trying to make conversation until the pickle's done. Feel me? So again, I'll mention it. I'm on StreamYard, so I can provide the link if anyone's interested in coming in and chatting with me, because yes, I have seen Just Sandy, and she has somebody come in there with her sometimes and talk to her, which makes the time go by fast. And I'm going to be out here the majority of the day because I have some things that I got to do. And so I am just checking to make sure that this isn't going anywhere. There it is. Okay. Now comes the filing. Going to make a lot of loud noises. So if you're not into that, so sorry. And I need to change up this. Another one bites the dust. I'm going to take all right. And I realized that when replacing this, I can't get into the nooks and crannies that I need. So, hot pause on the new one. Take the smaller one that I had been working with previously. Get in here. So basically what I did was it allows me to almost cut that seam and fuse them, have like a fuse look together is basically what I'm trying to explain. So that they look more like one thing. I'm also checking here to make sure, and I put this ring on, I'm wanting to feel where the spots where my fingers would touch, and maybe they would be slightly uncomfortable. So that's the main thing right now is comfortability. I'm wanting to make sure that this surface isn't going to cause a raw point on the finger, isn't going to make it extremely uncomfortable. And that's a thing that maybe, you know, people consider even wire wrapping, in a sense, really see how comfortable this item is going to be when you're wearing it. So now my nub has literally turned into a non-existent thing. It would basically be metal on metal, which is not what I'm going for. So I'm just going to take this off and junk it. And I'm going to get my another one here. I keep them until they're like nubbed out, until they were like in that, stage of the game, because I use this one so often, the extra coarse. Hey. Okay. So now I'm going to go to these discs here. And I've used the crap out of them, so they're a little like a mangy cat. But the point is they get into the cracks and the crevices that silicone would not. Now I'm going to take the blue one, which actually I should take the black one. The black silicone, so it's the coarse in the, going down the line, basically. I need to get more mandrels. Just taking some steel wool and I think double aught, basically the finest, and I'm just going around the inside of here on the nooks and crannies. And cleaning it up a little bit, because as I said, I am going to be patina in this. I'm going to give this a little bit of depth. And that doesn't necessarily that this whole piece is going to be black, but what it's going to do is it's going to make the accents that I made pop on here. So I am going to take the liver of sulfur, which I have here, which is an oxidization piece and tool, and find my brush that I was using. It's gone forever. Ding, 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 ding. I know I put it somewhere. I'm just gonna lose my marbles. If not, I just may have to use a paper towel. No big whoop. We'll do another position for you. Remember that time Devin fell off her chair? And this smells like a really bad fart. It's the only way I can describe that. Stinky. Still singing where my paintbrush might be. Nope. I'm just going to go get a paintbrush from inside. Talk amongst yourselves. So again, just taking it here. And I'm wanting a lot of the intentional patina to be inside these little marks that I made, the accent marks. So I'm going to pay extra attention to these marks. And yes, this is definitely not the way instruction-wise that they encourage you to use this product. They definitely say that heating the product and sticking just like this would be the most desired way to use this. However, I've seen people do this kind of act. That's why I'm doing it this way. But as you can see, the metal is starting to blacken already. And that is what I want. As I said, I am trying to just get into the nooks and crannies of it. And basically why I'm painting this as opposed to dunking is, like I said, I don't want it to get inside the bezels at all cost. I do not. Because these are lighter stones, they're chatoyant, I do not at all. So I'm trying to pay the most attention to coloring inside of the lines at this point. So then I'm going to go to the back side here, especially into the grooves of the band. So I really want that flower print to just pop. Paying a lot of attention to the stone holes. And going from there. And this smells like rotten eggs or a really bad fart. So again, making sure, and a bristle brush like this, something really cheap, inexpensive, is nice. So just in case you lose it, like I lost my other ones, but it's a little bit more sturdy, so you can stamping kind of method into the nooks and crannies of the piece. So I'm not too concerned about, like, if I get this on my fingers, like, it's literally not the end of the world for me. I know that this is like it's probably not the best thing to get on your fingers, but here I am. Okay. Got it in and around how I want it. I'm just going to stick it on some paper towels over here. So the longer it kind of works itself out, the longer it'll give for the thing to do its thing. Stick that over there. Stick this now right there so don't forget. Future Devon, that's where I put it. And then I'm going to put the, hey Christine, I'm going to put my liver of sulfur back in my bag. And I'm going to plug in my computer. So I just got a low battery notification. Here we go. Right on. Okay. Here's the ring. All oxidized. Just wiping off the excess. No need for any of that. Gonna fall off my friggin' chair. Hi, thank you so much. So there's the ring. It's intentionally oxidized. Okay. Blackened. That's what I want. So I'm going to take my extra fine as I throw it on here. And I'm just going to go in the nooks and crannies here. Give it a nice old once over. I can take my, which, I think that's actually what I'm going to do instead of doing that. I'm going to take one of these guys here. 3M polishing wheel, I think is what they're called. Polish. And this kind of stuff tends to take the longest. Because this is all kind of like the nitty-gritty of it. I'm actually going to use not the pumice, not this. I'm probably going to use old blue here, which is right here. Look at that band. Look at that. That is stunning. Love that band. It is not cold where I'm at. I had actually come out here originally with a sweater on. And as soon as I got out here, I'm all, nope, I do not need it. Oh yeah. Oh my goodness. That's crazy. I don't know. That is next level. I've never, I don't think I've ever worn a flannel shirt if not for decoration, like an additive. Hey, Jennifer. So, all right. Looks like a masterpiece. Oh, golly. We'll see, huh? All right. So now what happens is I'm going to take my burnishing tool, wherever that is. Right here in front of me. I'm going to get my ring clamp. I'm going to put it on the flat side here. And what I'm going to do, so as you can see, as I pull it up to you guys a little bit, hopefully you'll be able to see, I'll try to cover my face. is some of the bezels are a little, which happens when you file. So what I'm going to do is I'm just basically taking the flat part here and making sure that they're up and at them. No worries, Jennifer. Thanks for hanging. All right, so I have my key basically, and I'm gonna attempt to set these stones. We're at that point now where that's what I'm thinking I'm gonna do. There's just a little piece right here that is driving me nuts, like a little piece of solder flow from the ring band. So I'm trying to get in there and file that down. All right. So as I have it the way that I have it, I'm bring out my stones here. mixed them with a little bit of WD-40. So just raising the walls a little bit. I mentioned in filing, they tend to come down. Just shaping it a little bit more so that it'll fit the stone. And there's one. Okay. And I love these smooth set. Absolutely lovely. Set in. All right. So again, working on that same process over and over until I have set all of my stones the way that I want them. And I'll go ahead and go back around with my burnishing tool a little bit more, polish it up, and go from there. Little bit. That's a beautiful stone. Really partial to the cushion cuts myself. And then amethyst. An easy go. And so, I don't know if you'll be able to see really well. Bring it over here. So these are stones that she sent to me. Is a moonstone. Looks like another, this is like a chalcedony. I believe this is a moonstone. And then that's an amethyst. It's like a mother's ring. And I will set those, and there's the underside of that. But basically, after I set them all in, this is what it'll look like. Hey, WTF, Mike. Hey. So now it's the fun part. Now it's the fine tuning. The stones are in. And now the making sure everything is aligned, set up, set in. There's no wiggle, there's no shake, no other movement. And just like that. So guys, with that being said, I'm going to do that and finish continuing to work on the rest of this, because it's a lot of full, and I would like the moonstones. Do you have one like that? Yeah, actually I do. I'm actually going to be working on a prong set stone for somebody. And this is the moonstone that I have that they wanted. So I have the moonstones. Stunning size for a ring. It's beautiful. It's a checkerboard cut. So I'm really excited to do that for her. So I've got, there may be some stones that I don't have, but I have a lot of stones. It is kind of like a problem. So, and if I can't, I have some sources where I most definitely can get them. So if there's one that you're looking for in particular, you can let me know. And yeah, so with that being said, guys, I'm going to go ahead and end this video right here. I'm going to work on setting my stones a little bit better, polishing, cleaning up. And of course, if you have me as a friend on Facebook, and yes, my mom went ahead and put my email in the chat. So if you're interested in a custom ring, I can absolutely do that for you. Just let me know. And this is the not quite finished product, but soon Do you have anyone that's not checkerboard cut in a similar size? Not at this moment, but I can get some. Just send me an email, Christine. Thanks for catching me live. I hope that you have a great day too, WTF Mike. And I will catch you guys on the next one. See you later.